Imagine a crumbling mansion, shrouded in mystery, where an ancient jinn waits for a soul pure enough to claim.
This is the chilling true story of Annayiah, a girl whose beauty and faith faced a test beyond imagination, brought to you by Real Stories Diary. Will her unwavering devotion protect her from a love that defies the boundaries of this world?
Annayiah was a poor girl, strikingly beautiful. She had taken up work alone in a long-abandoned estate. In that mansion, a jinn had been waiting for a beautiful soul for centuries. The jinn, tempted by her purity, forgot everything in his longing for her. What he did to that innocent girl will shake you to the core.
Stay with Real Stories Diary as we unravel this haunting tale.
This is the story of Annayiah, who lived in a crumbling mud brick home in a village called Marinpur. Her life was far from a fairy tale. There was innocence on her face, light in her eyes, but harsh times had robbed her of laughter. Each day was a battle for survival. She cared for her ailing mother, faced empty pots, a roof patched with old cloth, and held on to a small flame of hope in her heart. Annayiah's mother, Rabi, was a gentle woman, confined to bed for 4 long years. Her body had withered. There was no money for medicine, no relatives ever came by. There was no stable income. Often, nights passed with nothing to eat. But Annayiah never once complained to her Creator. Each dawn, she rose to the call of the far prayer, bowed on her worn prayer mat, and recited from the Holy Quran. Her prayers always held one plea: "O Allah, grant my mother healing and bless us with a halal source of sustenance." People in the village gave her all kinds of suggestions. Some proposed marriage for selfish reasons. Others wanted to hire her as a servant. But Annayiah always gave the same reply: "What my Lord has written is what I accept. I cannot sell my patience." Then one day, an elderly woman from the village told her of a deserted haveli on the edge of the forest. No one could last there long, she said, but the owners now lived in the city and needed someone to look after the place. The pay was generous for those willing to work hard.
Annayiah looked into her mother's tired eyes.
They reflected only pain and helplessness.
She made up her mind.
Even if a devil resides in that mansion, I will go with the name of Allah and His words on my tongue. She asked her mother's permission, packed 2 pieces of bread and a small Quran in her cloth bag, and set out on a journey where her patience and faith were about to face their toughest trial.
What secrets lurk in the shadows of Faizan Manzil? Will Annayiah's faith shield her from the unseen? Keep listening to Real Stories Diary to find out.
The mansion Annayiah was heading toward was called Faizan Manzil. Once belonging to the Grand Zamindar, Rais Faizan Ali Mirza, 100 years ago, it was the most magnificent house in Marinpur, with marble columns, sprawling gardens, fountains, and crystal chandeliers. Rais Sahib had great wealth but only one child, a daughter named Zarman. They say Zarman was breathtaking in beauty but full of pride. Her marriage was arranged one day with a kind but poor boy, someone she detested.
That night, Zarman locked herself in the highest chamber of the mansion.
By morning, her body was found swinging from the chandelier.
But the strangest part?
There was a look of fury on her face, as if even in death she carried hatred in her heart. After that, the mansion changed. Servants began vanishing.
Some lost their minds.
Some were found wandering deep in the woods, muttering to themselves. The village elders believed someone had sealed dark sorcery within the walls of the mansion. And now, the jinn that were bound inside had broken free. People claimed to hear a girl crying at night inside the haveli. Some swore they saw a woman in white through the old windows.
Children dared not come near, and even grown men would pass by quickly, murmuring prayers. Whoever went there for work never lasted long.
Some fled in terror. Others were never seen again. But when Annayiah heard all this, she simply said, "If this mansion belongs to the jinn, then my Lord is also Rabbuna's, Malikina's, Ilahina's." With that belief in her heart, she stepped through the iron gates of Faizan Manzil, where time had curled into the cracks of its old walls, and Zarman's rage still floated in the whispering winds.
But the unseen presence that dwelled in Faizan Manzil was no ordinary jinn. His name was Sarim, and he was neither entirely jinn nor entirely human.
He belonged to those rare jinn once known for worship, purity, and closeness to God.
Sarim's bond with Allah had been deep, and he was once among those destined for paradise.
But long ago, a trial shattered him. He had fallen into a love not meant for him, a sacred, soulful love for a human girl. When that girl married someone else, Saram cried out to his Lord, "You gave me a heart that feels love. Why did you take her away?" That one complaint cast him out from the ranks of the spiritual jinn and pulled him toward the shadows of worldly desire and loss. He wandered into Faizan Manzil, already haunted by the curse of Zarman's death and her embittered spirit. There, Saram roamed for years, a soul cracked open by longing. When Annayiah entered the mansion, her voice, her prayers, her quiet strength, all began settling like calm over Saram's fractured being. He watched her in silence every day, when she prayed for her mother with tearful eyes, when she swept the dusty halls while reciting verses, when she whispered duas alone in the dark. To Saram, she was unlike any human before. His love wasn't lust, but it filled the hollowness within him that had echoed with emptiness for centuries. But a jinn's love for a human, especially one so devoted to her creator, was it truly love, or just another temptation, another fall? Saram was torn between longing and guilt. But this time, he was willing to cross all boundaries, not for Annayiah, but to feel whole again. And thus began a story where the boundary between devotion and desire, spirit and body, began to dissolve. Only days had passed since Annayiah arrived at Faizan Manzil. Yet Saram's obsession was deepening. He watched every movement, lingered near her presence, but never showed himself. His love was peculiar, not meant to frighten her, but to comfort her silently. One night, Annayiah wept over her mother's illness. She had no money for medicine. Suddenly, the cupboard door creaked open on its own, and a small leather pouch fell out. It was filled with gold coins. Annayiah froze, terrified. She knew no human hand had done this. Shaking, she began reciting verses from the Quran, but the coins remained where they fell. That same night, she heard a voice in her dream, "This is for you, Annayiah. Just say yes. You and your mother will never suffer again." Annayiah awoke with a jolt and immediately fell into prostration. "Ya Rabbi, the patience and dignity you have given me are enough. I seek only your protection. I want your help, not the favor of any jinn." The following day, the mansion began to smell of roses. Silken bedsheets appeared. Fresh roses adorned the table. Even her mother's missing medicines appeared on their own. Annayiah quietly removed everything. She recited Surah al-Baqarah with firm resolve and said aloud, "If this is the doing of some hidden being, then listen well, I belong to Allah alone. I serve no one else." It was the first time someone had rejected Saram with such calm strength, faith, and dignity. He burned with longing, twisted by pain. But her prayers were too strong, and he had to retreat. That night, Annayiah placed her hands on her mother's frail feet and whispered, "O Allah, you are the helper of the helpless, the Lord of me and my mother. If you wish, you can ease our burden without jinn or humans." The next morning, a kind man from the village, Hafiz Karim, suddenly arrived at the mansion. "Daughter," he said gently, "I don't know why, but my heart was drawn here. It felt as though a pure soul needed help." Tears filled Annayiah's eyes. Saram watched it all from the shadows, and now his love was met with a new force, Annayiah's unwavering tawakkul in her creator. When Hafiz Karim entered the Haveli, Annayiah told him everything: the gold coins, the dream voices, the silk sheets, and the miraculous medicine. Hafiz Sahib listened quietly, then sighed, "Daughter Annayiah, this is not just your test. It is a lesson for all believers who have yet to understand true tawakkul." He continued, "Tawakkul is not just praying. It is the unshakable belief that help comes only from where no one expects, from Allah alone." Annayiah nodded, her eyes wet with understanding. Then Hafiz Sahib taught her how to guard herself from unseen forces. If you ever sense whispers, temptation, or fear, recite A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim and then read Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas. These two are called Al-Mu'awwidatayn. They protect from all harm. He gave her a small tasbih and instructed, whenever fear overtakes you, recite Ya Hafiz 33 times and Ya Mutakabir 33 times. The names of Allah will form a shield around you. Annayiah asked softly, "But Hafiz Sahib, do jinn really exist? Can they truly harm humans?" He smiled and replied, "Yes, their existence is confirmed in the Quran. Surah Al-Jinn speaks entirely about them. Even our Prophet was sent to them and recited the Quran in their presence.